Thank you, Mohammed. Hi, everyone. I am Priya Sindkar, and today I'll be talking about how you can use Jetpack Compose Previews to test your UI on different devices, on different scales, on different uh, basically test it on to make it more suitable for running on different Android devices. As Android developers, it is a pain for us to have our UI pixel perfect for each and every screen devices, and we know that there are a lot of configurations out there for Android devices. So these are a few techniques that I use, or few guidelines that I use to test my Jetpack Compose apps to make my UI more presentable, and to make it more uh, to make it overall have a nice effect on each and every device that the app may run on. So I'll walk you through a live demo of how you can use the preview options in Compose to see and test your designs. Okay, so
Slides.
this is a Jetpack Compose app uh, through which I'll show you a demo. So, in order to preview your composables or the components that you have, UI components that you have in your application, you first and foremost is you use the @preview annotation, which is there, which you can find in the dependency of tooling preview. You can always use this dependency directly from the bill of materials, which is available along with the Compose bill of materials. So you can either use it separately like this, or you can use it with the BOM. So this is how you get started with the previews. uh, for the previews, the first and foremost thing is that you are going to have multiple previews in your to test your particular screen or particular composable, right? So for that you need some sort of differentiation between your previews. So for that we use a name parameter, which essentially gives, displays the name on your previews, so that you can differentiate the previews and quickly recognize the previews that you are testing. And you can know that, okay, this is a preview I created for my phone device, this is a preview that I created for my tablet device, and so on. So this is name. Then we can also test different dimensions in your previews, so that let's say your app also supports very small sized devices which are very old. So you need to test your device, UI, so that the UI also renders very nicely when the device size is very small, or when the device size is very large. Let's say, you have different resolutions for Samsung and Xiaomi and Realme devices, and you want to make sure that your app looks good on those devices as well. So for that you can always use dimensions, like let's say you want to give a custom width of, let's say, 300 dp, and you want to give a custom height of, let's say, 500 dp, and you can use that. And as you can see, the previews are live. So as and when I change the previews on my right side, the design tab gives you the updated version of your app, updated preview for your app. So it's very quick to let you know that, okay, whatever you are trying to do or whatever you're trying to visualize is quickly visible to you. So this is how my screen would look like when my width size and height size are very small. Then I can also define directly the devices that I'll be using. Let's say, for example, I want to have a Pixel device or an Excel Pixel 3a device, and I want to make sure that my app looks good in that. So again, quickly, this renders me the Pixel 3a device. Now this the kind of resolutions, or the kind of dimensions that the Pixel devices have can help you visualize your app through most of the devices that are available out there for your users. So you can quickly do that. Let's say if you want to use a tablet and see how your UI looks like in your tablet, then you can quickly visualize this also. Okay, this is not responsive right now, but you can make it responsive. Like if you go and see on the tablet and you say that, oh, my app is not responsive enough, it's not looking very good on the tablet devices. So this way you can understand that, okay, my tablet UI needs to be more have more margins on the left and right corner, so that the UI is pretty much compact and not spread all over the screen. So this is how you use the device frames. Then you can also with Android 14, as we all know that the dynamic scaling, font scaling is there. So users can scale the fonts up to 200%, and you want to make sure that your app looks good with whichever font size that the user chooses for that device. So it's important to also visualize how your font scale is going to look like. So if I say, let's say if my font scale is very big, like it's up to 200%, then you want to make sure that, okay, so this is how my fonts or this is how my UI is going to look like, and it looks pretty much okay. The fonts are clear, the tabs are responsive enough to go to the next line, the chips are responsive enough to go to the next line. So okay, so my app is good to go. So this is how you can visualize it. Then again, you can also visualize how your uh, locale is going to be printed. For example, you're using certain fonts, and you want to make sure that your fonts looks good in whichever language or whichever local that your app displays. So this is how the French text is going to look like, or French my app is going to look like in locale. You can visualize this by seeing that, okay, all the escaped characters are looking well enough in my device. So this is how you use the locale. Then you want to make sure that your app does not get hindered, or your app is not top of your app is not ruined by the system controls or the system bars. So you want to make sure that you want to test your app with system bars. So when you choose so system UI, then you'll be able to see the navigation bar on the bottom, and you'll be able to visualize the status bar on the top, so that you can know that, okay, my app right now, my example does not have a top app bar, but maybe if you have a top app bar, then you can visualize that, okay, the status bar is on top of my top bar and the back button is below the status button, and I need to make it a little bit to the bottom side. So you can do that or visualize it by that. Again, your app is going to have various backgrounds, and you want to make sure that your app looks good in all types of backgrounds. So you can also choose to show some kind of a background color. So you can also use something like this and test your app. I think this is small. Yes. Okay, and you can see how your app. Okay, so now you can see visualize the background color as well. So if you, let's say you have a light mode and a dark mode supporting your app, then you want to make sure that the background color, the display that you have on your composables looks good in all types of backgrounds. So this is how you test the background colors. Then you want to make sure that whatever there is a concept called as live edit that comes with the new Android Studio versions, and you want to make sure that you want to quickly change the colors of your system, and you want to see that, okay, uh, how my app's preview is going to look like when I change a certain color of a certain button. So let's say I have a send button here, and I want to visualize how that button is going to look like. So let's say I'll just write a blue color, and I want to make sure that it appears here. So the live edits now with the new Android Studio versions enables you to change the colors dynamically or quickly, so that you can see that, okay, whether the blue color is going with the theme of my app or not, or whether the blue color is going. Let's say I want to have dynamic colors that are supported in Android 14, and I want to make sure that the dynamic colors from the wallpaper are shown aptly on my UI, and I want to make sure that whatever colors, text colors or the bubble colors, the chat bubble colors that I'm using adapt to the wallpaper pretty nicely. So there is a concept called as dynamic colors. So you can again choose wallpapers. Let's say I want to check how the blue button goes with the dynamic wallpaper that is rich in green color. So I want to see that, and I want to check how the blue color goes with the green background, so with the dynamic coloring. So this is how you can, there are only four options here right now for the dynamic coloring: red, blue, yellow and green. But it gives you a clear idea, or a basic idea, a vague idea about how you can use the dynamic coloring as well. So I'll again remove this and see quickly. Again, it changes to the dynamic color of the button. So this is the magic of live edits, which I uh, personally is my favorite, because running the app all over again to just see a change in one color is was very, you know was very tiring and very frustrating for me. This new feature has enhanced my productivity to next level, and this is how I usually quickly see if I don't have the correct designs or the correct colors, and I am the one solely responsible for seeing how the UI looks like, and select the colors for a particular app. And this is how I usually test different kinds of colors, multiple colors, and it's very easy. Instead of taking it right from the resources and then again changing it from the resources file, it's pretty easy to do it this way. Then I want to make sure that this particular previews that I'm seeing on my right display well enough on real devices, because in sometimes the coloring of the real devices can vary a lot from the emulator devices, or the previews that we see do not actually match with the way that the app is displayed on the real devices. So in order to do that, I can quickly run the preview directly on my devices. So I have a running device right here. Oops, it went away. Okay, so I'll just quickly run my emulator, and I can simply run this particular static design on my device, and see how it looks like on the real devices. So I can of course use any of the real devices, but for the sake of this demo, I'm using the emulator. But this is how the static UI would look like. I can interact with this particular uh, preview run as well, so that I can get the gist of, okay, the keyboard is going to be this way and my components are displayed in this way, and then when I click on the chips colors are proper, and the basic UI, interactive UI, you can test from right about here. Uh, then I also have, if I don't want to run the entire thing on my running devices, I would like to quickly see, interact with my UI directly in the preview itself. So that provision is also been provided with the preview, Jetpack Compose Preview, where I can quickly check my UI, or check the clicks on my UI directly from here. The keyboard won't show up because it's a preview, but you can sense how your clicks are going to look like, or when you have selectable components like radio buttons, check boxes, and in my case the chips, then you can see that, okay, how this is the how the edit text is going to look like, how the chips are going to look like, and how the coloring is going to match, and so on. So this is a interactive mode for us. Then I want to also check the animations in my Jetpack Compose, so I can again start the animation preview from here as well. In the animation preview, I can quickly check how my device's animation is going to look like when my app will run, and I can actually go frame by frame, and I can select how the animation is going to be, and I can change the animations from how, how I can change my animations, and I want to visualize how the keyboard is going to open, or something like that. So if I run it, it can quickly show me. Let me just, okay. So this is how I can visualize the animation. I can go and again I can check whether I want to have a entry animation where, the entry is animated or when the exit is animated, and I can accordingly see it actually go frame by frame. I can even change the, if I have different colors going from one color to another color, I can choose the colors from here as well, and I can visualize the color animation as well. For uh, for this demo purpose, I don't have the color animations actually, but you can visualize it. Like, let's say you have a button, and on click of the button, your button is going to be animated, or your button is going to have a motion transition and go into the details screen for a particular item. Then that button transition or the ripple effect that it causes, you can visualize that, and you can, change the color from one color to another, the dim color to dark color, or dark color to dim color. And you can use that kind of imagination and do that from here. uh, Again, you can scale the fonts or scale the components in the animation. For example, if you have a component, when on click of it grows up and takes up the entire screen, and displays the detailed screen. For example, you have an image, and when you click on the image, it grows up and takes the entire screen, or gets to the center of the screen. Then you can use this DP animation as well to visualize how your image is going to look like. Sadly, I did not get time to, add these animations to the demo. But maybe, you can take a leaf out of this and try it on your own, so to check how the animation previews actually work for Jetpack Compose. uh, then I want to make sure that I have not left any area or uncovered. So by which I mean that I tested the font scale for, let's say, two floating points, 200%. But I want to make sure that my app is rendered clearly from 100% to 200%, and in between it takes in the values as well. So for that, we have a concept called as multiple previews, where you can have a preview of, let's say, font scale preview, and when I when it renders in the preview, it will actually give me a list of previews, or an array of previews covering 100% to 200% scaling, font scaling, so that you can visualize different fonts. Let's say 125% fonts, or 130% fonts, or 140% fonts as well. It's taking a bit of a time to load, but it will load here array of previews for different font scales. These font scales are predefined, so when you want to have something which is not predefined, and you can always use the font scale parameter that we saw earlier. uh, Taking time. Okay, it came. So this is 100% view, this is 115% view, then it's 130% scalable, then it's 150% scalable, 180% scalable, and you get the gist. You get the entire, list of font sizes. Again, this is not limited just to font sizes. You can have even have different screen sizes as well, where you can test from desktop to phones, to from through the tablets and everything. So this is how my desktop preview is going to look like. If I just, then this is how my phone preview is going to look like. This is how my landscape view is going to look like. This is how my tablet view is look like. It even has the uh, provision to visualize your foldables as well. So this is unfolded foldable. You can always, use the custom screen sizes and see how the folded version is going to look like. So this is pretty neat. And in order to use this multiple previews, uh, your Jetpack Compose version has to be 1.6.0 alpha 1 plus. So if you have your Compose version lower than this, then you would not be able to visualize all these multiple previews. But with 1.6.0 alpha 1, you can, use this feature as well. If I failed to mention this earlier, I'm using Android Studio Hedgehog. So it's a pretty older version of Android Studio. It is the stable one till now. But yeah, with Hedgehog you can use all these previews. Then there is something called as parameter passing. So let's say you have composables which takes in parameters. There are certain limitations for the preview, Jetpack Compose preview, which I'll get to later on. But in order to visualize large data sets, or in order to visualize some kind of data which is a bit dynamic than just using the screens, predefined screens over here like this. So you can have something called as parameter providers, preview parameter providers, which gives you the flexibility to pass data to your previews, so that your previews can have dynamic UI, dynamic data, and you can pass different kinds of data sets into your previews to check all types of data that would be available with your Android app. So for that, I have this custom provider. This provider can take in, this is my UI state which I maintain in my view model. So I'm directly using this, or directly initializing it as a parameter, and I'm passing it as a parameter to my preview, uh, Jetpack Compose preview. So this is a UI state which is going to ultimately go to the content screen. As you can see in my previous preview, the preview that I used for demo purpose, this UI state I have created directly from, initializing it directly from like this. But if you want to again pass it as a parameter, this is again a very poor choice of example. But you can visualize how you can pass the parameters, because when it comes to view models, uh, we are usually we usually pass the view models inside the composables, or we uh, uh, initialize the view models in the composable parameters. So there is a very limited support for view models with previews. So this is how you can inject some data into your composables to see different kinds of data on different kinds of screens. So this is the preview which comes with this particular data that I'm using. So if you can see, the red screen is about that. You can right click on the previews, and you can copy the images. You can zoom to see the entire preview without clicking on this plus and minus, and then scrolling through the previews. So you can quickly you know uh, select a particular preview, and you're good to go. So this is how the parameters are passed inside the previews. So this was something about multiple previews, that you can have multiple previews. These are just two previews that I'm using, but in actual devices, or in actual apps, I use more than 10 previews to test my UI correctly on different screen sizes, or different versions. So if I have an app which I'm developing for mobile and tablet as well, and foldables as well, so I have previews related to that. And accordingly, I pass the parameters to test large data sets. uh, Next, okay, so this is, if you see that my preview is an entire screen. And in real world apps that we develop, we the screens are pretty complex, and we don't really want to just give a bird's eye view to our previews, but we want to make sure that we fine grain through the previews. So for the sake of this demo, I've used the entire screen. But I want to make sure that there are previews for each and every field. For example, I want to test previews for this particular composable, and these composables, as you can see, while I'm hovering the mouse over different composables, it actually highlights the composables that I have in my app. So even if the preview is for the entire screen, you can actually check and see that, okay, these are the different composables that built up this particular screen. So if I want to see, let's say I want to go to this particular button screen, and I want to change the button color, or do whatever, anything with the button, then I can simply click on it, and you can see that this is where my button lies. So it will quickly jump or take me or navigate me to the composable that I just clicked on. And when I go into the composable, I can actually go and check that, okay, this is a send button that I need to work on. So when you have a complex app, you are going to have multiple composables and in multiple files, and you are going to have an array of composables which you probably won't remember the names for. So this is how we can quickly navigate to the composables, the underlying composables, and then you can quickly change it. Let's say, for example, I want to change the content description. I can quickly do that by just clicking on this particular uh, composable. You must be wondering that it should actually take me to the send button instead of the parent composable user input, but actually it should take me over here. It won't take me over here because the composable that I am previewing right now is the content screen, and content screen holds the user input and not a send button, and hence it took me to the user input, its own child composable, instead of it's the child's underlying child. So this is a bit of a limitation which I found in preview, but of course this is well enough for us to fine grain to certain level, or at least save us from navigating at least for 70% of the time that we would be using to manually finding the file, or searching the file and going to that particular composable. So this was pretty much it about the demo that I would have liked to show uh, in this talk. Before we go, I would also like to talk about the limitations that the previews provide. So the previews do not show you network data. That is a limitation for them. For the previews, again, when you have a large set of data, you need to manually provide them via the parameters provider, or by statically adding them, or dynamically adding them. Then again, if you are using dependency injection like Hill.coin, again, you are going to uh, provide certain parameters directly in your preview. There is something called as local composition scope, which you can use to see whether the preview, whether it's actually preview or whether it's actually the app that is showing that. For example, if you are running the previews on your real devices, then you would like to know whether this is just a preview or this is actually the live app. So you can use that by using that local composable scope to define that. I think that's it for the limitations. Again, uh, everything with MVVM, everything goes into our view model. So the repositories or the use cases that we are going to have in our data layer, you are going to have to directly provide support for them inside your previews. Sadly, it's not what something with previous support, so you are going to have to handle that on your own. So I think that is it. I hope this session was inspired you to test your UI neatly directly inside your Android Studio before going to the espresso testing and so on. So I hope you liked the session, and I think that's it from my end. If you have any questions.
Thank you, Brea, for such an insightful presentation. This was very
Thank you,
smooth.
Mohammed.
We actually have a bunch of questions which we are going to go through quickly because we have like for 5 minutes.
Okay.
So the first one, Do you have any tips for building your your view models to work with a live preview? Are there any gotchas?
Like I used in my demo,
In
like
and out.
you can have your
You can have
UI
your
states, or you can mimic your UI states via the parameter providers, and you can provide that to your view models. You can add, or you can use this. This is what I found useful for me. But you can also have a different composable which actually takes in the view model that you want to test, and then you can pass that composable into your preview, so that you have the view model ready for your preview. I hope
Yes.
that answered your question, Keith.
The next one from Keith also, in iOS, including Firestore in our view models can break our soft UI previews. Is this also the case for Compose previews?
I don't have much of knowledge in that front, so I can't really answer this for you.
Yeah, there's some. So the next one from Jimmy, how to to preview a composable using that uses a view model.
Again, like I answered the kid's question. Either you can mimic the data for your UI state directly from your parameter providers, or you can, have a composable which takes in the view model and then pass that particular composable to your preview composable.
Yeah, so you can't pass the view model directly to your previews. That's the short answer.
Yeah.
Yeah, another one actually from me. Can we pass a review only parameter to a composable function without affecting the action functionality?
Yeah, you can.
And how is that?
Like, you can have a composable ready to use with all the data sets directly written from the parameters itself, so you can just directly use it, and you can just copy it directly in your preview. But for that you need to pass all the parameters, pass all the details in the parameters itself.
Yeah, yeah, I got your point. I think we have a very long question here. Review is a good tool for showing a review.
It does, it requires a bit of a boilerplate, but that's what it takes to test the proper app, because as they say, only 40% of an app is development, other 60% goes into QA. So that is something which you need to put in.
Yeah, great. I think we have answered all our questions. A lot of guys are saying that you had a great work. Thank you for such an
Thank you,
insightful.
Ryan.
Thank you, Bria. Hope you we have you again because this was such an informative session.
This was very hard for me to grasp, so I'm actually glad that I'm able to demo it to others.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that with us.
Yeah.
Okay, guys, thank you for sticking around. So our next session starts now. I think is modularization at scale by Alicia Fard. So stick around and see you. Have a nice day. Bye.